Hello, everybody. It's Teddy, and today I wanted to talk about, I guess, the Foundation's teaser given by Mark Rosewater. Now, I'd like to say, first and foremost, that this is basically a puzzle and is only for the most hardcore fans because realistically, this gives us next to zero information. However, we can kind of look at the outskirts of what he's saying and be like, or the more informative things he's saying and be like, hey, maybe this set's gonna contain Eldrazi, maybe it's gonna contain goblins, zombies, who knows? But yeah, let's just get into it. So the information for this is coming from a Tumblr post that I will probably link by Mark Rosewater, who I'm not sure what his position at Magic the Gathering is, but he's, he writes for Magic pretty frequently, and realistically I probably should have looked up what he did beforehand, but here it is. So he is, and by the way, so we're going to get previews for this set on October 25th, which will be MagicCon in Vegas. So, this is just a little bit of information for, again, the most hardcore of people to kind of talk about. So, first up, here are some things you can expect. The 5 iconic creatures each show up on multiple cards. So, I wasn't sure what that meant, but from what I was guessing, I was just assuming that there would be one creature type for each card, and I didn't really think about, I tried to put it like a red-colored creature, a green-colored creature type. And yeah, let me go through. So what I think that means is I think red is going to be goblins, because goblins are a staple of red and pretty much only associated with red. There are, I think, other goblins, like there's the Goblin Soul Warden or whatever in black, but 99% of goblins are red. 2 is blue. I realistically wasn't sure what to include for blue, so I was thinking Sphinx or Bird. I guess it could be Ninja too, because I know later on in the post they mentioned Ninja. Green, I was thinking Elf, because Elf is just like all green mostly, or mostly green. I know some people have thought of Hydra, but that just seems a little strange. I know they mentioned Hydra later as a creature that's in the set, but I feel like elves are just more generally associated with green. And black and white I thought was zombies and angels, but I guess it could be demons, but we'll see. I like the 5 iconic creatures each show up on multiple cards. That doesn't really mean anything unless he's talking about 5 iconic creatures from Magic's lore, which in that case I'm completely out of my depth, because I have no clue what any of the Magic lore is. 2 monocolor reprints, each of a different color, that together win you the game. So, I mean, what I immediately thought was Thassa's Oracle and Demonic Consultation. I think that seems like the obvious one, because, I mean, Thassa's Oracle is monocolor. I don't know about Demonic Consultation, though. Are they counting colorless? Because I think colorless is part of Demonic Consultation's cast, right? Let's see. No, Demonic Consultation's only black. Okay, so yeah, realistically that could work. So that's what I think. Thassa's Oracle, Demonic Consultation. I know people want to get rid of those cards, they hate them, but hey, it fits the bill. That's my theory, I don't know. Some creature tokens in this set: 1/1 White Rabbit, 2/1 Blue Ninja, 3/3 Green Raccoon, 4/4 Red Dragon, and a copy that's a Nightmare. So that's interesting. I think the Nightmare thing is kind of like a red herring. I think there's just going to be a card that has something to do with nightmares, and the other tokens actually have something to do with things we're going to see in the set. It seems like we're getting a lot of Bloomburrow-esque stuff with the Raccoon and Rabbit, both in the set. We haven't... that seems a little goofy. A character from one of our most popular online Magic stories returns. Again, I'm not sure, but if I had to guess, it would have to do with Urza in some sense, because I feel like Urza is one of the most popular, that like whole storyline, the Brothers War, the whatever it is. I think that's one of their most popular pieces in terms of stuff they've created. So I would have to guess that. But then you gotta think, like, why wouldn't both brothers show up? Maybe in lore one of them died, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how it all played out. I'm not a Magic lore veteran, but that would be my guess. It's entirely possible it's just like Jace or something. Who knows? An 8/12 creature with Ward 4, not much to talk about. That seems awful, but, you know, there's been worse. Protection from, you know, from colored spells is kind of absurd. At least it's not that. A creature with 7 evergreen keywords is insane. So, my first thought, I forgot to pull it up, but let me do that right now, was Zetalpa, Primal Dawn. And it is just, if you didn't know, Zetalpa is a keyword soup. So, right here, flying, double strike, vigilance, trample, and indestructible. And guess what? He is only 5 keywords. So, they're getting this creature is going to be massive, presumably. I don't know if ward is a official, like, evergreen keyword, but it could just have ward and maybe haste, and then boom, you have it. But it's going to cost so much, I imagine, because they're not just going to put 7 keywords on some, like, tiny creature, right? They're going to put it on some massive monster. A Magic Invitational Winners card gets reprinted, and no, not the most powerful one. So this is, again, it's information, but realistically, all we can do is guess. There's a lot of Magic Invitational Winners cards, and we know it's not the most powerful one at the very least, but that doesn't really narrow it down. So I'm not even going to speculate here. Counters in the set. 1/1, bait, I don't know what bait counters are. Fellowship, don't know what those are. Incubation, don't know what those are. I'm actually not sure what incubation counters are. I'm not sure what half of these counters are. I know what stun is, as I'm a casual, of course, so I'm not sure. I know +1/+1, and I know stun, and I know loyalty. I also know that loyalty does not necessarily mean that it's planeswalkers. It could be an entirely planeswalker-free set. However, I theorize that they are talking about planeswalkers, because I believe the loyalty counters can also be given through a white card. I forget what it's called, but it's like Promise of Loyalty, I think is actually what it's called. And you choose one creature, wipe out everyone else. Each player chooses one creature, and they get a loyalty counter. So, yeah. And they can attack the player who wiped the board. A card that's in the top 10 cards I sign gets reprinted. Again, realistically, no one but him can know. So, unless you're like a Mark Rosewater enjoyer, and you keep up with literally everything he does, every tweet, every Tumblr. I don't know what Tumblr things are called, but yeah. More deciduous mechanics get used in this set than any previous non-time spiral block premiere set, which I thought was interesting. And I thought a lot of people would be asking, what are the deciduous mechanics? So, I pulled up a text by Mark Rosewater, and this is one of his articles on the Magic the Gathering website. So, he talks about them. Anchor words. These are just like, what's it called? Adventures in the Forgotten Realms had them. They can be just flavorful words that allow for you to take one of two sides and kind of have these conflict pieces where you make a decision, and if it's an enchantment or sorcery, they do one of these things. Or it can be an artifact where it does a bunch of things. Like in this, I believe this was called, like, what was it? Unstable. So, yeah, a lot going on with it. Pretty cool. Blood tokens are apparently not a staple. I do see them a lot, but I guess it's just by coincidence. Cantrips. Again, these are Baleful Strix is a pretty popular one that we see a lot. He said that these are described as cards that draw a card as a secondary effect in addition to what the card does. So, most cantrips are pretty good. Cheap cards that draw you a card in addition to their normal effect. Clue tokens and Investigate. Not a big fan of that, but, some people are. Not going to complain. Colored artifacts. those could be in this set, who knows? Curses, I thought curses were cool, I'm not gonna lie. And I was kind of surprised to hear that, what's it called? The curses weren't evergreen. But yeah, curses are cool. I like curses. They're simple and usually pretty easy to understand. Cycling, I did not realize was a deciduous mechanic because I feel like a lot of the most popular lands have cycling on them, so, that was new for me. Double-faced cards, also did not realize that was a deciduous mechanic because I feel like there's so many of them and they just pop up at weird times, so yeah. Food artifact tokens apparently is also deciduous, even though it seems like we see them a lot. Hybrid mana, which is choose one of these two mana colors. Protection, prowess, sagas, which we know sagas aren't going to be in the set because there were no lore counters. And split cards, which, I think are dumb. They look dumb, but they're pretty good. Treasure artifact tokens, also did not realize deciduous mechanic. Vehicles, yeah, so this set could have a lot of stuff realistically, and we just know that there's going to be more of the deciduous mechanics than any other set. So, all of these could be contained in this set, which I think is pretty interesting. Or, most of them. I'm sure it's not that hard to get, more than any other set. I guess they said non-time spiral block too, so it's probably not all of them. It's probably 5. And I imagine it's just the more popular ones, like food, treasures. We know there's no sagas in this because no lore counters when they mentioned the counters in the set. So I'm guessing food, artifact, maybe vehicle. I think vehicle's pretty safe. Probably a double-faced card because people really like those. And what else? I think double-faced cards are kind of annoying. And what else could we have? I mean, blood feels weird. Clue and investigate, maybe. That's 5. And if we're going crazy, then I'd add the double face. Or the split cards. But yeah, that's my theory. Alright, next here's some rules text that will be showing up on cards. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each cat you control, which is kind of unfortunate. I know my friend recently built a cat deck. Sounds like he's going to be getting a lot of cat support. At least that's my theory based on this text. I mean, imagine they're not just going to print a one-off cat, but maybe they do. Who knows? You can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game. Kind of a Platinum Angel effect. That's kind of cool. Target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback. I don't know what color that would be. I would assume black because it interacts with your graveyard, but it could be it could be blue. It's really weird, because it has to do with instants and sorceries. I have no clue what that could be. Creatures you control get +10/+10. That sounds pretty incredible. I assume it's not an enchantment. I hope it's not an enchantment, but I don't know. It could be. We literally have no clue. There's so little information given. A deck can have any number of cards named. I think that's fun, because... and I guess they didn't mention that... I don't know how many reprints are going to be in this set, but it could just be, one of the rats. I know rats have one. I know knights have one. I know there's the, dragon's breath one, or whatever it is, the fire one. Then exile all other nightmare tokens you control. I don't know. I said up here that I think the nightmare tokens are going to be a one-off thing, but maybe they're really trying to turn nightmare into, maybe that's going to be Black's theme for this set. That they have nightmare tokens, and maybe they also have an effect that they, maybe it says, mill a card when this dies, or target player mills a card when the nightmare dies, and then, but that's weird, but then it says then exile all other, then you wouldn't get the effect. I don't know. It's very bizarre, and it's basically just, we have no clue what could happen here. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a token that's a copy of this creature. I thought this was cool because it's like a blue Scute Swarm. I'm going to go out on a limb. I know green has some, when you draw 2 cards in a turn, do something, but I'm just guessing this is blue. That's my theory. Copy, blue. I don't know. Drawing cards, blue. Double the number of each kind of counter. Proliferate decks are gonna love that. That seems absolutely absurd. Yeah, I don't know. That just seems insane. Proliferate decks, Planeswalker decks. Hopefully there are Planeswalkers in this set. I'm assuming the loyalty encounters are referring to that. You may pay B rather than pay the spell's mana cost if there are 13 or more creatures on the battlefield. That seems like an absurdly hard requirement to hit, at least at a lower power table. But, you know, I've seen some pretty massive tables online, so I could theoretically see people hitting that, especially with, I don't know, I think there was some cards up here. Spells cost 1 less to cast. This one's going to be generating copies of the creature, which will have that effect. So it's kind of absurd. You're going to be generating tons of creatures, whether you're in green or blue with this effect. This one is going to go really well with that. Probably, I don't know. I feel like 13 or more creatures. I was just reading about, I think Mark Rosewater also wrote that article, but it was about the color pie and importance of number of creatures on the battlefield is kind of a white thing. So this is probably going to be a white card, whatever has that. And I'm assuming B is just an alternative spell cost. Like, you may pay 1 neutral rather than the 12 mana this normally costs. Draw a card for each different mana value among non-land permanents you control. That seems absurd. I don't get it, and it's definitely not for me. But, you know, I feel like there's a lot of high roll potential there, depending on how much the actual card that has this text on it is, but, oh man, it's just like, I cannot imagine myself playing this, even at, like, a commander table, where you're trying to play on curve usually. I can't imagine that. And let's see what else we got. Here are the creature types, or some creature types. Right, these are, there's just nothing to glean from this, I feel like. Rabbit Noble, Demon Warlock, Shark Pirate, Eldrazi. We know Eldrazi are going to be in the set. What is that? Hyena Rogue? Spider Spirit. I would look at generally the archetypes that have more support. Like Rogue, Spirit has some support. Elemental Hydra, both of those have a decent bit of support. I know Bear is like a weird meme archetype, but Demons have a lot of those. Phyrexian Construct, so we got a bit of Phyrexia coming back. That's super interesting. And a legendary zombie warlock, so that leans into my theory that zombies might be in the set. I mean, like, what kind of... it's just like, what kind of black set... I feel like they never, like, have a set come out that doesn't have a zombie in it for black. And now I'm gonna, like, you know, look the fool, because people are gonna be like, look, Bloomburrow didn't have a zombie, look. You know, I'm not even sure Duskmourn, funnily enough, had a zombie. But I you know, just, like, zombies are so ingrained with black. It just, like, that's... I've got to imagine that's the name of the game. So we got some names for, names in the set. Boltwave, Electro Duplicate, Fishing Pole, Goblin Negotiation, Hair Apparent, Homunculus Horde, Midnight Snack, what is that? Perforating Artist, Refute, and Stab. So, yeah, I mean, there's literally nothing we can do with that. But it's cool. I guess it's cool information. And he ends it off with saying that there will be more information. The Foundation's debut will be at MagicCon Vegas, October 25th. At whatever time, right after our Foundations of Magic in the Next Era, where you'll get to see the 2025 sets, which will include some more stuff about the Marvel sets, presumably, because I know the Marvel sets, and they've already announced that I think a Spider-Man set is coming out, so that's all I wanted to talk about today. I just wanted to go over this little bit of information. I guess it's kind of cool that we have a teaser for what Foundations is going to do, but I presume this is basically going to be them setting up for the next, what is it for Standard now? Like 3 years for Standard? I don't know what Modern is either. I don't know where Modern starts and where Modern finishes, or if Modern has a rotation as well, but this seems like it's going to hopefully contain, in addition to all of these cards, a lot of cards that are staples in Eternal formats, and basically what I'm trying to say is Commander. Please include Commander staples. Yeah, but besides for that, I don't know. I'm excited. This seems cool. I'm hoping we get to see some Commander support. I'd like to say first and foremost, again, please don't print cards for Commander. Every time Wizards of the Coast has printed a card for Commander, it's been a mistake, whether it's Eminence cards, whether it's Hull Breach or Dockside, Mana Crypt. Mana Crypt wasn't really printed for it, but wasn't really printed to be played at all. It was never standard legal. Moral of the story, this is going to be absurd. Please, just give Commander players, like, throw a Cyclonic Rift in there. Throw a Heroic Intervention again. We always love to see that card. And, make it you're doing great. I have no clue how to design Magic cards. So, I'll see y'all next time, and, yeah, that's it. Bye!